No, sir. Yes, sir.
No, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, now unit number 3 we are starting today. So in this unit we are going to see about strain gauge, then load cell, then magnetic sensors. There are different types of magnetic sensors, then magneto-resistive type, then all effect sensors, then we will see about current sensor, then compass and gyroscope. So this entire unit itself which deal with some type of magnetic and resistive type. So first two will be resistive type, then remaining all type of sensors we are going to see with respect to magnetics. Okay, so that is with respect to this unit. Since our earth also has a magnet, so with that we will try to correlate and try to use for so many applications. So that is what this unit will be. And starting, let us start with strain gauge. So strain gauge is an example of passive transducer. We all know what is passive. Any device which doesn't require any external supply for its operation, we call it as passive. So here also this type of instrument, that is strain gauge, doesn't require any external supply. Okay, we all know formula for resistance. Resistance is equal to rho L by A, where rho is a constant, L by A. So if length increases, resistance will also increase. If the area increases, then the resistance will come down. Okay, so now what we are doing is we are taking like a coil structure. So when you try to pull it, automatically the length will increase. If the length increases, the resistance will increase. And if you compress this, automatically area of this multiple wire will become like a single wire. So then area will increase. If area increases, resistance will come down. So that is how this equipment is going to work. So finally I am going to measure resistance across this two terminal. Okay, so now depending upon the various types of force, see, if I press on this end, then the length will increase. So what will happen is resistance will increase. If I compress it, then automatically your area will increase, so your resistance will come down. Okay, so it is a thin wafer like device and be attached to varieties of material to measure the applied strain. Okay, let us start with the history. History began strain gauge. So it was in 1856 by Kelvin.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
your screen stopped, sorry, sir.
Screen not shared.
Yes, sir.
Is it now okay?
Yes, sir.
I think some net issue. I think sometimes audio is disconnecting and sometimes screen is not sharing. Okay, if any problem you can tell me. Now I think you can see the screen as well as you can hear the voice.
Yes, sir.
Okay, shall I proceed?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we are seeing with the history. So history of strain gauge. So in early 1930 itself, Charles made a first notable use of this strain gauge method. So in then 1937 and 38, there were so many small diameter wires are made from electrical resistance alloy. Okay, then late 1952, at this time printed circuit boards were emerging. So they started. So what was the history development is reduction in size. First they have started with somewhat big in size with respect to strain gauge, and then with respect to the development in the field of electronics, the size become reduced. So that, see, this is going to be used as a sensor. So sensor size should be very small. So how much small you are making your sensor, then application wise you can improve. So that is what has been done. So in 1952 itself, you have got a small size strain gauge sensors. So when you see structure, what and all is there is you have an active grid length. So this is coil which is being placed. So end loop, this is grid and this is outer, just to protect your wire. Wire cannot be directly exposed. So you will have an end loops. So within this outer loop, inside you are having this wire. Then alignment mark, since this is a mechanical type of sensor, always there is a problem of calibration. This is not directly an electronic, so calibration is required. So all the four corners they will mark, so that should not move from there, and that should be kept in that particular position. Okay, then finally you take the leads, and that leads is being given to the resistance measurement. Okay, the majority of strain gauge are foil type, are wide choice for shape and size. They consist of pattern of resistive foil. They operate on principle that coil is subjected to stress. So this coil is subjected to stress. Stress means either compression or expansion. Okay, depending upon that, resistance will change. Now how we are going to use this? We all know Wheatstone bridge. Okay, Wheatstone bridge will have 4 resistance, and we have 3 known resistance and 1 unknown resistance. So with the help of 3 known resistance and with a knowledge of what is the input voltage applied, you will measure the voltage across the unknown resistance. From that, what is the drop we will identify. From that drop we will say what is the resistance of the unknown. Okay, so that is what Wheatstone is. Now what we do is, in that Wheatstone I have removed that unknown resistance and connected a strain gauge. Now we all know strain gauge is going to be used as a sensor. So depending upon the force acting on your strain gauge, so either strain gauge will compress or elongate. So now you can see here I have connected a strain gauge as a R4, or the resistance to be change in resistance, that is due to force which is acting. So this behaves like an unknown resistance. All other 3 resistance, you know, I know what is V in I am going to give. So V measured will be nothing but this resistance value, and depend, if you know this voltage, then we can say about what is the resistance of this unknown. So this is how this is being used. So this part initially it will shows a particular value. Once there is a change in this will change. That's all I have got in terms of electrical output. So from mechanical I have got an electrical output. So from this I will use it for amplifier, and then I will use it for some meters to show. Okay, so this is how this is going to work. So sensitivity of the strain gauge is described in terms of characteristics called gauge factor, which is defined as unit change in resistance per unit change in length. So this resistance is only going to change. This change in resistance is because of change in length. That is what they say. So if the length is changing, automatically resistance will change, and this K factor will change. From this K factor, voltage will change, and the voltage is being read. So this is how it is working. Then types of strain gauge, we have totally mechanical, then electrical, then piezoelectric. I think you all know what is piezoelectric. So it is some crystals. In earth there are some crystals. In that crystals, when you give vibration to the crystal, you get electrical pulse, and vice versa is also possible. When you give electrical signal to that crystal, it will generate the sound waves. Okay, I think in small musical playing kits, I think you might have seen a small piano in your pencil box at your school days. You might have used it, or a greeting card. When you open a greeting card, it may wish you like saying many more happy returns, all the things, where they use this piezoelectric crystals. So they are very light in weight, so they can be kept inside the paper or any such, where when you give an electric signal, it will generate the sound. Okay, so that is called piezoelectric. So the thing you have to understand is piezoelectric will work on both sides. When you give stress, it will give voltage. When you give supply to the piezoelectric crystal, based upon the voltage, you will generate the sound. So based on principle of working, we have 3 types: mechanical, electrical, and piezoelectric. Then based on mounting, how we are going to mount this, we call it as bounded, unbounded. In bounded, it will be placed on a particular structure. In unbounded, it will be kept open. So that is the difference between bounded and unbounded. Then based upon the construction, you call it as foil strain gauge. Then comes semiconductor strain gauge, and then photoelectric strain gauge. All these are development in future. Okay, initially they started only with the mechanical. Once the field of electronics came into picture, everything went inside semiconductors, we all know. at the time of starting, the computer CPU will be half the size of your room, even half the size of our classroom, because everything is made with the help of transistors, and you have inside your single motherboard you have 1 million transistors at that days. Then what happened? By the field of semiconductors, everything is burnt inside your silicon wafer. The size has reduced. Now the entire 1 tetra hard disk itself is not more than your finger size. Okay, so it has reduced. So only that is the change, but the operating and all is same. So everything is brought inside semiconductor. And photoelectric is a relation between light as well as your electric field. Change in light with change in electric field. Okay, so now let us start with the first one, mechanical strain gauge. So in mechanical strain gauge, one end will be fixed and another end will be kept to the force. So amount of force that needle will try to rotate, and you will be able to see it on your scale. Okay, so this is made up of two separate plastic layer. One layer is fixed, bottom layer as a ruled scale on it, and the top layer as a red arrow or pointer. One layer is glued to one side of the crack, and another, this is usually this mechanical strain gauge is used to measure the cracks in which is going to occur in your civil. So this is basically used by civil engineers. So they will build and they will try to keep this strain gauge, and they will find that stress or what is the crack which is occurring in it. So the amount of crack will be shown in the display. So it is a mechanical they are using in civil. Okay, so even you can use it for some other application also, but it has been invented for that particular purpose. Okay, then comes your electrical strain gauge. In electrical strain gauge, you can see here you have this, and output is electrical voltage, which is nothing but Wheatstone bridge they work. So when electrical wire is stretched within the limits of its electricity such that it does not break or permanently deform, so within the limit you have to give the force. When you are giving more force, then automatically that will break. Okay, so this works on resistance. When resistance you take, then it is with respect to Wheatstone arrangement. Okay, then comes your piezoelectric strain gauge. In piezoelectric, I have told already, you have a semiconductor, a crystal. Normally this is a naturally occurring crystal. This is not man-made. So it is, I think we all know, in even your watch there will be written as quartz. Nowadays it has not been written because now you don't have any crystal. Now it is totally electronics. Whereas in your father's or grandfather's watch, you might have seen a word written as quartz. So that quartz is nothing but that crystal is being used. So that crystal, when you give 1.5 volt, it will vibrate 60 times per minute. So that is what we required in our watch. So your center second has to move 60 times, then only you will account it for 1 minute. So that is why in watch we call it as quartz. Same case here. Piezoelectric generator generate voltage when strain is applied over it. See, when I am applying force, electrical signal is obtained. When you give electrical signal, vibration will be there. Okay, now we are using it in reverse direction. What you are using in watch, now we are using it in the reverse direction. So you are giving force, and that force will generate output voltage. This is usually even used in army for turning on your bombs. So you might have seen in some movies, like whenever there is a tanky moving, they might have give some sensor at the bottom. When the tanky get rolls over it, then it will be activated and that will explode. Okay, same way. So that works on this principle only, piezoelectric method. So even at house, if you want to catch your thief and all, you can put a bed sheet, and below this you can keep this piezoelectric material. So if they come and stand automatically, then it will generate an voltage, and you can turn on your light, or you can go for burglar alarm. All such things you can do. So that is the applications of this piezoelectric strain gauge, and the strains can be calculated from the voltage which is been generating. So if more force is acting, automatically the voltage generation will be more, and you should be very cautious here also. The forces should be within the limit, beyond which if you try to give the force, the crystal will break. Okay, so to some extent we can give the force. Then comes your classification based on bonded and unbonded. In case of bonded, you can see here I keep a thick paper, then I keep this gauge, and then I will keep one more layer for protection. So this is bonded between these two, so that is why the name came as bonded. So gauge material, strain gauge material is bonded between these two, so that is why we call it as bonded. So bonded strain gauge element consists of metallic wire, etched foil, vacuum deposited films, or semiconductor bar. Even we can put a semiconductor bar, and then you can keep your gauge. Okay, so this is comes under bonded. When you say unbonded, there won't be anything, the wire can be directly seen, so there will be no above or below protection for that. All this depends upon the application. Some application I can go for bonded, and some application the vibration will be very minimum, so in that case I cannot go for bonded, then I will go for unbonded type. Okay, only that is the difference. So only based upon the application we decide whether to go for bonded or unbonded. In some environment there is chance for breakage of our device where we go for bonded. So even though if more force is occurring, that will not be transferred directly to the gauge due to some bonding which is being provided, whereas in unbonded case direct force will be on the strain gauge wire, so that you are able to observe very small or minute. It's okay, even variation in air pressure can be measured using unbonded strain gauge. Then foil strain gauge. In foil strain gauge, a metal foil photo etched in a grid pattern. All this came after the invention of semiconductors, where etching and all is possible. I think you know what is term called etching. Etching is nothing but in a semiconductor device, when you want to remove a particular portion, removing of particular portion in order of not even less than an mm. If that region you have to remove, then you will pass ultraviolet over the semiconductor, and based upon the intensity that region will be burned out, so that we call it as etching. So similarly you can see here they have taken a base, they have etched this portion alone, in that portion alone they have kept this foil, so this will be very thin, so that is why we call it as the term called foil. Okay, so that is what with respect to foil strain gauge. Then comes semiconductor. So we all know what is semiconductor. The person itself is not a conductor, not an insulator. He will behave like a conductor during some part of time and behave like an insulator at some point of time. So when you take silica, you say whenever voltage applied more than 0.6, the device will get turned on, which means less than 0.6, that semiconductor is an insulator, and when it is greater than that 0.6, that semiconductor has become conductor. So only if the voltage crosses that particular value, then it will get turned on. I think we know that there are two types of semiconductors. One is called silica, another one is called as germanium, but this germanium is not widely used. The reason is the voltage required to turn on germanium is 0.3 volts. That 0.3 can be easily obtained at the room noise itself. Your noise in your room, or the electromagnetic waves, or the microwaves. I think if I say with the example of mobile phone, then you can understand. You all using mobile phone, how this mobile phone get the signal? Because of the signal which is there at your room. The signal should have some power, otherwise we cannot say it as signal at all. So that signal power is nothing but noise. So IEEE standard says you can go till 50 milliwatts of power, but as our developing countries like India, we doesn't follow any standards, because we want the reachability of the mobile, that is only wanted by the customer. You say wherever you go and sit, you should have a signal, you say. So since you require, what the government do, they indirectly increase the power, and the power which we are sitting inside is around 150. From 150 it is now even gone to 1500 milliwatts, or which is 1.5 watts. So 1.5 parts of power is always you are feeling on your skin. So think what will happen. So the bonding in your cells will get loosened, when the age goes. So that is why nowadays what happens is, at older day a 60-year or 70-year person used to get vibrations. Nowadays even when you cross 40 or 45, there is some vibrations in our body. That is due to we are sitting inside around 1.5 watts of power 24/7. Okay, why I say this is because that is why germanium cannot be used. They will get triggered. So semiconductor strain gauge depends upon piezo-resistive effect like silica or germanium, and measure the change in resistance with the stress as opposed to the strain. So whatever whether material, either semiconductor or conductor, when you compress, automatically the chair is change in area. So if there is change in area, there will be change in current flow. This change in current flow is red. So that is what the working principle of your semiconductor strain gauge. Then you come to your photoelectric strain gauge. Word itself, it is very clear, light source. So photoelectric gauge use a light beam to fine grating, and a photocell detects and generate an electric current that is proportional to the strain. So when you give a photon of light inside, so due to this light we are able to generate signal of electric current, and the intensity of light will tell about the value. Okay, if the intensity is more, then more amount of electric charge will be generated. You have inside this photoelectric, you have the arrangement such that depending upon the light intensity, the arrangement inside will go for compression or expansion. Okay, so that is with respect to photoelectric strain gauge. Then on strain gauge selection criteria, so this is nothing but the application need. So gauge length, see, when you want to measure a change in force over a wide area, then you have to increase your length, the number of gauge. So for a huge volume to measure with a single gauge I cannot measure, so I will place the various gauges at various locations. So that is why we call it as number of gauges. Then arrangement of gauges, whether you are going to connect it in serial or parallel fashion. Then grid resistance. Okay, if that arrangement itself is in the form of grid, so that is nothing but grid, or you can call it as matrix, whatever say that is. Okay, when you come into picture of matrix, it is nothing but arrangement of rows and columns. Then temperature sensitivity, I have already told, when you go with semiconductor person, all semiconductors have a tendency for change in temperature. If temperature changes, then there comes the issue. Again, if temperature increases, the resistance will come down and the device will be get turned on. So device should be turned on only based upon the force acting, not on the temperature. So there are some selection criteria based upon temperature also. If you are going to use your gauge at high temperature, then you have to see that the temperature sensitivity has to be brought down, which means you have to make such arrangement that the strain gauge does not receive that high temperature, so that sensitivity is being brought down, that is temperature sensitivity is brought down. Then carrier material, I think we all know what is carrier and reference. So reference and carrier signals are there. Carriers are nothing but the generated has to be transferred from one location to other, so that is called a carrier. You may carrier, or you can even call it as drivers. Carriers and drivers are same, so that is why the word bus driver or driver is also there. See, you have in bus 50 members, all 50 is not making the bus to run, only one person is there to take you all, so that is called as carrier or driver. So carrier material is nothing but what is being observed is taken for further end. What is observed might be very minimum, or it has to be boosted. The boosting is done by a person called a carrier, and at the receiving end again this carrier has to be separated. See, when you travel in a bus, you can travel till bus stand, you cannot take this bus to your home. So it will start from a location and it will end at another location. From the starting place you can go and sit it, and you can be moved to the particular location. Then when you reach, automatically you have to be removed, you have to get out of the bus. Similar way, carrier signal has to be removed. So at one instant carrier will be added, then it will be transmitted. At the receiving end again carrier has to be removed, and the signal has to be sent to your amplifier or directly to any device. Okay, then gauge width, then availability of the material, so that whether that particular type is available. See, theoretically I can say so many things. When you move on to practical, there is comes a person called availability and low cost. When compared to other type of sensors, strain gauge sensors are low cost, so they can be manufactured at very low cost, because see, you want only wires. With the help of wires you are doing, and that also in the forms of wafers you are using, so cost will be very less. Okay, advantage, there is no moving part, it is small and inexpensive. But there is a disadvantages. Sensing is done by mechanical, so always it is a non-linear. So when it's non-linear, so when the force is very less, the voltage will be the output voltage, and if this force is going increasing, you cannot expect the same linearity in output, so there will be non-linear. So beyond a particular force, nothing will be the output, so it has gone to saturation. So all these devices, when they are working in non-linear, to bring it to linear, we always go for calibration. So repeated calibration is required. One time calibration will not work. So when you bought it and kept it in your place, then when year after year, there is required for calibration is required. So repeated calibration is required in case of strain gauge. Application, residual stress, you can identify the stress, then vibration measurement, then torque measurement. Torque is nothing but when you have any rotating person, then we will try to put a torque for that rotating, then I can measure what is the torque which is being applied to that particular rotating person. See, I think you all have two-wheelers. In the two-wheelers you have two part. One is called as mechanical to rotational conversion. Then from this rotational you connect it to your vehicle wheel. Okay, so there is in between there is a gear and all. So I think you all know what is difference between gear 1 and gear 4. So in gear 1 what we are doing is your output from your mechanical engine, that is whether it may be petrol engine or diesel engine or gasoline or even kerosene, whatever may be, where you are burning the gas and try to make this explosive into a rotational motion. So that is what engine is. So you are just generating this rotational. So when on the first gear what you do, whether you try to increase the speed or decrease the speed. In the first gear what we are doing is we are reducing the speed. Reducing means the pulse train which you are attaching to the gear is of greater dia. So if that engine rotates 10 times, then only this gear will rotate 1 time. So now what happens is your torque increases, and when you move on from the rest, then no need for torque, then we will go for your automatic to the gear 2, gear 3, gear 4. So normally we drive using mechanical, like you have a clutch and you have a gear pedal, all such thing is there. When you move on to automatic, so based upon the torque on the engine, I have to move the gear. So in automatic vehicles, this torque measurement will be done by gauge, and then based upon the torque required based, you will switch over the engine gears. Thereby from the torque to speed variation can be obtained. So bending and deflecting measurement, if there is some bending, see there are some equipments where bending will be there, you have to measure this bending, and beyond certain instant you are not supposed to allow the bending effect. So that is where in civil engineering and all, where you use this strain gauge. Then compare compression and tension measurement, then strain measurement, how much strain is being exposed on that particular material. So these are the various applications where you go for strain gauge. Then comes your load cell. Load cell is similar to strain gauge, only difference, load cell is a sensor or a transducer that converts load or force acting on it into an electronic signal. So here we talk with respect to load, so it is called as load cell. So this electronic signal can be voltage change or current change or frequency change depending upon the type of load cell and the circuitry used. So on this top you will give load. So when you give this load, then you will have an output. So it is more or less same as strain gauge. Why the word load is only to say that you are applying load here. Okay, that is the difference. It is only the term which is used to tell about the device, not as with respect to concept. So with respect to your application, it is called as load cell, that's all. Okay, so there are resistive load cell, works on principle of piezo resistive. When the load or force or stress is applied to sensor, it changes its resistance. This change in resistance leads to change in output voltage when the input voltage is applied. So this is resistive load. And capacitive load, there is no direct contact. Capacitive load cell work on the principle of change in capacitance, which is the ability of the system to hold a certain amount of change when the voltage is applied to. So already we will apply a voltage and keep, and if the distance between the two plates is varied, automatically the voltage will change. See, you have two plates separated by a distance. What is capacitance is, in case of capacitance, you have two plate, in between you put a dielectric. You put the dielectric, or you, if you are not even putting any dielectric or any, air will be the medium. Okay, so even air acts as a dielectric. So you have two plates. What will happen if I keep one plate fixed and if I am moving other plate? So if the one plate is fixed and if the other plate is moving, when the plate move away, voltage will come down, and if the plate moves towards the plate, the fixed plate, then voltage will increase. So this is also one of the methods. So what is there, the difference between the first one and second one? There is no actual contact between the two there. Sorry, in capacitor you don't have any direct contact, whereas in resistive you have a direct contact. So this is where can be used, where literally saying load is not directly on the sensing equipment. So this is where the difference between the capacitive and the first one. So one plate will be fixed and one plate will move. Variation of this plate too will try to vary the amount of voltage. So that is what capacitive load cell. For common parallel plate capacitors, the capacitor is directly proportional to the amount of overlap of plastic and dielectric between the plates, and inversely proportional to the gap between the plates. And if the gap increases, voltage comes down. If the gap decreases, voltage increases. So that is what you are supposed to write. So you have to tell about that it is inversely proportional to the gap between the plates. Next comes your second topic of this unit. So from strain gauge we are moving into magnetic sensors. The problem with strain gauge is till this load, resistive load cell, we told that actual direct force has to be on my sensor. So whenever direct force is acting on my sensor, there can be a physical damage. So repeatedly my device may break and you have to go for changing, because till this resistive load, that is what the case. And this capacitive has moved away from that there is no need for personal contact between the two plates. Only if one has been moving, another one is kept fixed. And even now we think, why should we want to have one person moving and that person may get damaged? So what they are thinking is, let us go to magnetic. In case of magnetic, there won't be any direct contact at all. So when a person is brought inside a magnetic field, automatically this magnetic lines of force will get deflect, and change in deflection can be read, and this change in deflection is measured in terms of current, speed, position or displacement, whatever. As a conventional sensor, magnetic sensor does not give output parameter directly. So only difference between your strain gauge and magnetic is, magnetic output will not be directly electrical. So you have to do some sort of arrangement for conversion, so that you can see clearly from this picture. In normal you have a sensor, so the output of the sensor itself will be directly given to your, what is this block is nothing but gain block or amplifier block. So you can directly amplify and get your output voltage. So when you are using a gauge sensor, you give temperature, pressure, strain or light, whatever you give, this will generate a voltage. That voltage or current you say, that is been directly given to an amplifier and used. Whereas in case of magnetic sensor, so the sensor will give an output, that output has to be processed, so signal processing. So here you have to convert this magnetic into electrical. Okay, so output will be in terms of magnetic field. So magnetic field has to be converted, so you need a block called signal processing. So this is one additional block required in case of magnetic sensors. Okay, so types of magnetic sensors based upon the magnetic field intensity or the intensity of the magnetic field, we broadly classified as low field sensor, then earth field sensor, and BIAS magnetic field sensor. Okay, this low field sensor is nothing but very low magnetic field. This earth field sensor, we all know that earth is made up of magnetic material and there is a magnetic lines of force from north pole to south pole. I think we all know on what direction we are supposed to take rest. Usually they say you have to take rest only in the direction of facing. You can keep your head on west or east. Okay, north south direction is not supposed to, not permitted. We may think that is superstitious belief and all, but all this are scientific in reason. Okay, so now I will tell you why it is called scientific reason. Because when you will have mutual inductance 0, when there are two flux, see, you are also having a magnetic field, earth is also having a magnetic field, so there will be magnetic field from your body also from north pole to south pole, as well as earth also has a magnetic field. Now when the two magnetic field will have a mutual inductance of 0, the answer is they should be in perpendicular in nature, that is 90 degree. If one field is perpendicular to another field, which is means if one is 90 degree to the other field, the term mutual inductance is 0, which means that magnetic field will not get into me and my magnetic field will not get disturbed. So that is the reason why you see from north pole to south pole, if you lay down, then you are in phase with the magnetic field, then you will get disturbed. So to avoid this, what they say, you go perpendicular. How you to go to perpendicular? So you have to face in east west. So when you move to east west, now your magnetic field and the magnetic field of earth is 90 degree apart, so the term mutual inductance becomes 0. Okay, so that is why we are supposed to lay down in such fashion. And again there are so many reasons why, if any death, okay, if a person die, then they will ask us to be placed in north south direction, and all that if I take, then I will move out of the subject itself. Now that we will put it on discussion session, where we will discuss why if a person is died, why he is asked to lay down in north south direction and all. Okay, now let us go with our subject. So depending upon the magnetic field intensity, we classify the sensor into 3. One is low field, then medium is called as earth field, then you have BIAS magnetic field, which is high magnetic field in nature. Okay, so first one is low field sensors can sense very low value of magnetic field less than 1 micro Gauss. Gauss is the unit for magnetic field. 1 Gauss is nothing but 10 to the power minus 4. For example, in case of fiber optic, then nuclear processions, all that in the field of medical and nuclear application, we go for low field, because in medical we are going to measure brain cells and all, brain field, and that brain field and all will be very very low field. For example, when you think you are going to talk, there is no sound from your mouth, only if you talk then there will be a sound, and this is been sent as a pulse from brain. The way in which you are opening the closing of your mouth with your tongue in between the two jaw, their movement and this position of this tongue only generates that variation in sound, and this is nothing but pulse from your brain. So if that pulse is missing, then I cannot move my jaw or I cannot move my tongue. So now science has developed, they say we will sense from the brain, whether we will check whether brain is giving and your mouth is not moving. So they are able to find, and if a person don't have legs, if the person don't have a particular arm, then they try to fix that robotic arm or the robotic leg, and they try to get the signal from the brain, and that signal is given to the activators or motors that try to move your hand. So based upon, if you are not even having your hand, you can generate with respect to medical field. So there only you go for very low field. Then you move on to earth field sensor. The earth field are ranging from 1 micro to 10 Gauss. Uses earth magnetic field in many of the application. I think you might have all seen like navigation, then vehicle detection, all that you use earth field. So I will show an example here. So you have a magnetic lines of force from north pole to south pole in all the places. So now when a car is trying to move, this car is a metallic structure. There is north pole to south pole, there is always a uniform magnetic field. When a metal is crossing, obviously the flux pattern will change. Change in flux pattern has been read by a sensor called as spintronic sensor. From the word itself, spin is nothing but some rotational. Spintronic sensors, which is nothing but this change in path of this electric magnetic field is being observed. So if there is no vehicle, it will be in uniform direction, so there won't be any spin in change in field. If there is any vehicle moving, then there will be a change in field or spin direction will change. That is being detected. So with that we will detect there is a vehicle crossing that particular portion. Okay, so that is called as vehicle detection. So slightly distorted or more distorted depending upon the position of your vehicle. Okay, then spintronic is a sensor also known as spin electronic. It is the study of intrinsic spin of the electrons, and it is associated with the magnetic moment in addition to the fundamental of electronic changes in solid state device. Okay, so that is what is with respect to spintronics. Then the last type of magnetic field were very high magnetic field, which is nothing but more than 10 Gauss. I think you all might seen this application, like we used to keep for ATM and all. So ATM, you have a door, the door get locked. Again, to open this door, nowadays in no ATM this machine is working, where initially they kept this. So when you want to get into ATM itself, you have to keep your ATM card inside a slot, then only this reads your magnetic field, and then they try to demagnetize and they try to open it. Okay, nowadays we use this only at home, so just for a protection, where if someone is opening, then you will get an alarm, because one is transmitting magnetic field, another one is receiving the magnetic field. If the second one is not receiving any magnetic field, then we will understand that the door is open. Okay, so most industrial sensor uses permanent magnet as a source of detection. So in this method we go for permanent magnet method. Okay, so even this is used in reed switch. This is called reed switch. Then one more person is called a GMR sensor. GMR sensor is giant magneto-resistance, is a quantum mechanical magneto-resistance effect observed in multi-layer composed of alternating ferromagnetic and non-magnetic conducting layers. So this was done in 2007, and a Nobel Prize even given to the physics who explained this idea. So it is from a 2%, and they are from the origin of Germany. So they have identified the principle behind it, and they even received this Nobel Prize. Okay, so with this we will stop today. So in today's class we have seen about two topics in unit number 3. So one is we have seen about strain gauge, and another one we have seen with respect to load cell. Okay, so